Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to begin the signing ceremony of the joint political declaration between Japan and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization by Prime Minister Abe and NATO Secretary General Mr. Rasmussen. We now ask Prime Minister Abe and Secretary General Rasmussen to sign the joint political declaration. Would the two of you please stand up and exchange your documents? Today, it has been a great pleasure for me to welcome Mr. Rasmussen, Secretary General of NATO, to Japan and sign the first joint political declaration. This, I believe, signifies a starting point for Japan and NATO towards a new relationship for cooperation. 6 years ago, I have visited the NATO headquarters for the first time as the Prime Minister of Japan and gave a speech at the meeting of the North Atlantic Council. On that occasion, I said that it is quite natural for Japan and NATO, who share basic values, to further strengthen their cooperation. Today, I have come to reaffirm its importance even more. Since then, Japan and NATO have steadily enhanced the relationship, such as the joint efforts to extend support to Afghanistan. The two regions of the Euro-Atlantic and East Asia are geographically separated, but are mutually closely linked in terms of global security. Based on such recognition, I have been able to have a valuable exchange of views with Secretary General Rasmussen today and shared our regional outlook as well as our strategic recognition. In the joint political declaration that we have signed today, we have made clear that we shall further our cooperation in areas such as cyber defense, maritime security, and disaster relief. I shall materialize our spirit of cooperation by holding a symposium on cyber defense, as well as establishing a joint research group for humanitarian support and disaster readiness and relief.
Prime Minister, it is a great pleasure to be back in Japan and to meet you. Your personal commitment to a strong relationship between Japan and NATO is long-standing. And I'm convinced that the joint political declaration we have just signed will make our partnership even stronger in the future. This declaration highlights that our relationship is founded on our joint values and the common security challenges we face. Japan and NATO are dedicated to the values of individual liberty, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. And although the security environments are different in the Euro-Atlantic region and the Asia-Pacific, we know that in today's world, we are all connected and our security can be affected by challenges well beyond our borders. While NATO has no ambition to take on a permanent role in Asia, we see very clearly the advantage of working with like-minded partners like Japan. That's what we are doing together in Afghanistan. NATO is leading the ISAF mission under the mandate of the United Nations to help make sure that it never again becomes a safe haven for terrorists who could threaten international security. Mr. Prime Minister, we thank you for Japan's enormous contributions to supporting security and development in Afghanistan. Our efforts complement and reinforce one another because we can do more together than we could do alone. And that is a lesson which goes far beyond Afghanistan. There are many areas in which cooperation between NATO and Japan could benefit international security. We could work together more closely to avert crises whenever possible and support the building of security whenever needed. We can do more together to deal with challenges such as disaster relief, terrorism, piracy, and cyber attacks. The Prime Minister and I have, of course, discussed the series of North Korean statements, missile launches, and nuclear tests, which are of concern to the whole international community. NATO strongly condemns North Korea's provocative rhetoric and provocative actions. They pose a serious threat to regional and international peace, security, and stability. I urge North Korea to refrain from any further provocations and to fulfill its international obligations to fully implement all relevant United Nations Security Council resolutions. And I commend all efforts to seek peaceful solutions through dialogue, because nobody could have an interest in further escalating the tensions in this region. Prime Minister, thank you very much for a very fruitful meeting today, and thank you for your continued commitment to our partnership.